about you guys, but I definitely woke up today feeling like it was a particularly heavy day and it called for a reading. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Jen Sui. This is my high priestess kitty, Cleo. And yes, it stands for Cleopatra. So, Cleo and Jen here. And we're in a brand new location. This is my new bedroom. I moved back in August and I am very excited to be in my new home. That being said, I don't want to spend too much time in this video talking about all of the life updates and stuff. I am just excited for all of you to join me in this next chapter and enjoy whatever comes out of it. So I have a few decks with me, just like two that I felt called to use today. I have Tarot Landscapes that we'll be using, as well as the Child of the Universe Oracle cards. With this year and everything that's been going on, just like every year I feel like is one of those years, right? Every year there's so much opportunity for growth, for change, for transition, for good things, for abundance, and then also for so much like upheaval that it's not even useful anymore to be like, there's been so much going on. But that being said, with like the election that just happened in the US, and also with Pluto transitioning from Capricorn to Aquarius, it is a big change, like literally paradigm shifting changes. And I'm not one to typically follow news, but like there is a lot of crazy shit happening that's kind of pointing to people awakening, right? And to the shadows of these structures that were built over these times collapsing, people really putting emphasis on different values now, and people coming to awaken their humanity. We are in the age of Aquarius, which I'm so excited about because I personally am an Aquarius, and Aquarians are all about humanitarianism. They are really friendly, outgoing people, but they're extremely detached as well, or they have this ability to be detached. And it's because in order to serve the collective, in order to serve others, in order to be a humanitarian, there needs to be this level of detachment from your own self, your own ego, your own desires, your own visions, and the things that are in this physical world in order to see clearly. So that being said, let's get into what you might need to hear right now. And I already charged these cards with the highest love, light, and truth. You guys already know that I am a huge knowledge seeker and truth teller, and this one is the first one that just popped right out. We have the Two of Pentacles right here. So with the Two of Pentacles, this is Earth card energy, right? And two with this duality of the masculine and feminine, yin and yang. I love this image of this little, like, it almost looks like a baby raccoon, like holding an egg, and it's just like trying to balance on this like this wood piece in between two pieces, right? It's all about balancing these two worlds, and I think this is such a great card to start with because this is really like where people are at, whether it's in your own individual life or the way that you see this world. There's this tension, and I see this tension as almost like that urgency to be like, I need to get out of the city and like move to Montana and live on a ranch and be like detached from everything. But then also, that's not going to solve the actual structural issues, right? Like if you think about like a lot of business owners, CEOs, people who are executives, high earners, whatever, like you have the financial ability to like go remote, but is that actually going to serve the collective? No. So with this like Two of Pentacles energy, I think there's like, if you're watching this is a calling card for you to really balance and temper that part of you that wants to escape, that wants to just be like, well, what's the fucking point? Like people are just like digging their own graves, so like let them. And while you let them, like I'm at least gonna go and have my own fun and my own life. Really tempering that, like, like I just want to give it all up. And what's the point with this deep desire and this deep love that you have, this deep calling that you have to serve and to be truly like in alignment with your purpose. Like you are reincarnated here at this time for a reason. And within this balance, it's in that bigger picture as well as in your day-to-day. So in your day-to-day life, this is how much are you giving to maybe your relationships, your marriage, dating, how much are you giving to yourself? How much are you giving to your purpose, your business, your career path, your health, your well-being? Where are you giving your energy, and where do you really need to find that balance and temper your expectations, temper your desires, temper your actions, so that you can find this harmony? Because truly, like with this, when you look at how it's staying in balance, how this creature is staying in balance, it's like on a very fine line, right? So just know that you might be feeling like you're holding this tension, like you really have to like sit up straight with your shoulders back and like be, I don't want to say perfect, but like almost like, you know, in that energy of I have it all together. This is a temporary situation. It's kind of a strengthening of your ability to be able to balance all of this, so that when things start moving, when you start to see like the benefits of it all, when you start to see your career take off, your business take off, when you start to you know, grow your skill sets, and like people are starting to ask you to like work with them instead of you having to like go out and like work with other people, when you're seeing your relationships kind of working through a lot easier, you're letting things go that are not aligned, you're not chasing, you're not like being attached to a specific outcome or to a specific vision, but rather to the highest divine love that wants to find you and that you have found within yourself. When you honor those parts of yourself, it's going to get easier. You're going to feel so much more at peace and in harmony that you're going to be like, ah, this is the reason why I balance it all. It's not because of you know, you feel like you have to, but because the balance actually brings you peace, and you just need to like learn the responsibilities and get into that groove of actually being able to find the right balance for you. So that's the first card that comes up now. We already went so deep. I freaking love this shit. Okay, let's see what else is coming for you in like December, but especially like this transition. Mercury is just leaving retrograde. So we're starting to like kind of come back into settling into our old routines or new routines more so, because when Mercury goes into retrograde, it's really like an expansion. Think of it as an opportunity to do things differently. Yes, the communication can go wrong. Yes, like, you know, weird shit like your tire popping, you know, can go wrong. But at the end of the day, like these are all things to like shake us up out of our old routines. And Mercury's all about communication and the way that like, you know, we kind of communicate with not just other people, but also ourselves, the world around us, and how we relate to things. I feel like that's like the bigger sense of communication. So now we're getting back into the flow. So we have the Page of Cups, and this is all like, this is kind of new relationship energy, honestly. But the Page of Cups, this is like you embodying this very like newfound love, you opening yourself up to new emotions, you opening yourself up to this wonderment, this sense of discovery. You look at this fish and it's like, ooh, this coral reef, right? Like, wow, like it's this lighthearted, young, feminine, divine energy that's very playful, that's very like pure. I think of it as like this pure love and this soft love, this soft, gentle, like really sweet love. And this is a calling card to remind you to kind of step into that, as Cleo's literally biting me. When I see these two cards together, it's really like, how can you find balance in your life to allow the most loving version of you to step forward? How can you balance the desires that you have and be able to balance your boundaries as well, so that you are able to step into and also practice this embodied love that you are in. You know, if you think about like what is most loving for you, it might not be the most loving thing, quote unquote, that you think you can do for someone else. But when you understand, again, like we've talked about this so much, I feel, but when you really truly understand and integrate that the best thing for other people and the like best way you can love somebody is by first loving yourself And by loving yourself, you are making yourself that much more available to love somebody else and for them to be able to receive you fully. And it's not well, in order to love somebody, you need to love yourself. And loving yourself is just this like, oh, you have to just go through this process. Like, you're undeserving of love otherwise. It's so much more like you discovering love for yourself is like loving for other people. I keep seeing this quote come up and I like resonate with it very deeply. And it is that if you think you are self-aware, but what you're self-aware about is only your shortcomings, your downfalls, your negative patterns, your negative cycles, that's not true self-awareness, right? True self-awareness also includes you being able to see your gifts, your talents, the love that you have to offer, like all of the quirks about you that are so interesting, so intriguing, so magnetic. That would be true self-awareness, when you can see both sides. And I think oftentimes personal development, healing, spirituality, all this stuff, it is another way, another avenue that people can get into perfectionism. It's another like avenue where people can be like, well, finally I will be enough, right? Now, instead of like chasing a specific monetary goal, chasing a wedding ring, chasing, a specific body weight or bench press or whatever that's going to make you finally feel like good enough or successful or healthy or like whatever. Now there's this other avenue of this personal development where like, if only I could heal my trauma, like so much, like if I fully healed my trauma, if I reach a point of enlightenment and I can just live in this enlightened peace bubble all the time, then I will finally be happy. And that is just another form of perfectionism. That is another form of escapism, because there's no amount of healing that you can do that's going to escape the human experience. And I really want to emphasize this because, just a funny example, I've been watching The Ultimatum on Netflix, season 2, and one of my favorite couples in it is Mariah and Caleb. However, like, again, keep in mind that nothing on social media or in entertainment is as nuanced in real life. Like, obviously it's like been super edited and cut down. But that being said, you can already tell like Mariah and Caleb are very emotionally intelligent and self-aware people. And they are trying so hard to communicate properly. To me, it seems very like she is operating from her logical mind. And I say this because I can also like relate so much to it, where instead of dropping into the feeling of being hurt or dropping into the feeling of like the other person, having them wanting to receive you, there's this like almost anxiety that takes over from this perfectionism of trying to get it right, of like doing the healed thing and doing like really wanting to work towards a goal, that you forget to be in the present. And oftentimes, especially with this like Page of Cups energy, this new love energy, there is this calling card to like be present, because problems don't always have to be solved by talking it out. Problems are not solved by thinking about it hard enough. Problems are not just like, healing. There's an end point in healing that I feel like people don't want to talk about, which is there's living. When we talk about healing and how it's a lifelong process, it's like, yes, in a way, because you're constantly going to find triggers that remind you of maybe your past. There's always going to be pains or like old scars and wounds and stuff, right? However, I don't really sit with that belief anymore. I don't really operate from, I don't believe that that's true for me anymore. I really believe that healing is in a continuum. However, there is like an endpoint where it transitions. Like the endpoint isn't necessarily like a clear cutoff, but there's a transition period. And what comes after healing is living, like true living. And true living looks like being able to be in the present, understanding that there are good days, there are bad days, life is 50-50. And just because you're having challenging emotions, just because you're like having a down day, does not mean that now like things are bad, that you're triggered, that now you're gonna like be at risk for depression again. And just because you're having an update doesn't mean like, okay, now like life is so much better and like it's always gonna be like this and this is your new baseline, right? Like it's just a constant ebb and flow. And when you can dance with the rhythm of life in that way, that to me is truly living. This ability to live in response to your desires, your curiosities, your feelings, the messages you're getting from your intuition, like that is your ability to live. And that to me is like what comes after healing. And they kind of happen in tandem and during that transition phase. the problem that I see if you think like healing is a lifelong journey is that it can feel like it's never ending. And like anytime you get triggered, when you go through a period that's challenging, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like I need to heal, right? There's like this trauma that maybe you need to heal from, that there's deeper layers you didn't get through. And it can trigger this perfectionism tendency again, because at its root, perfectionism is shame. It's this like, am I enough? Am I worthy? Am I like doing enough? Am I good enough? Am I pretty enough? Am I going to be lovable? Am I going to be accepted? Or am I going to be rejected because there's something fundamentally wrong with me? So when you can get into those cycles of, or those periods or those moments where things are challenging, things are hard, things feel like a drag, whatever, it can really send you back into like this regression into like healing, when you're not actually needing to heal anything. It's more so like straining a muscle, right? Like if you think about working out, you're breaking down the muscle fibers in your body to rebuild them and for them to grow stronger. And the healing is really comes from rest and restoration, right? Making sure you're stretching, making sure you're not overworking out, And I think with healing, people can take it down this road of like really over healing, like you would over exercising. And then that actually leads to more injury, because now you're not living, now you're not in your present, now you're overthinking and you're rationalizing everything. Now you're not able to hear your partner when they're getting, argumentative with you, and be able to regulate yourself and then like meet them where they're at. Instead, you're meeting emotion with logic, and that's just not going to work, right? You have to meet the emotion with emotion first. Doesn't mean like you meet aggression with aggression. It's like you meet frustration with understanding, curiosity, or empathy. And then once the emotion is neutralized, then you can meet each other with logic, right? That's how that works. But if you are so caught up in like the overhealing, it's going to be really, really hard to drop back into your body, because now you're thinking of like, what's the right thing to do? What's the healthy thing to do? Is this toxic? Like, how else can I communicate this? Like, you're trying to think your way through it instead of being there, feeling into it, and attuning to yourself as well as the other person. So with that coming up, I feel like these two cards is so stark of like balance that desire to heal and like be rational, be logical, be this like perfect version of like human, and then being the messy human that also is extremely divine and like beautiful in all of its chaos. Okay, so let's switch over to oracle cards. We have divine inspiration. So something that's really you're going to want to focus on is this like new beginning of divine inspiration. Whatever is coming to you intuitively, and remember your intuition is going to come through differently depending on who you are. I really highly recommend looking into human design and seeing what energy type you are, what your what your authority is. I'm an emotional authority, which is why I say that. Because this classic advice of trust your gut doesn't apply to everyone, okay? Trust your gut, when you learn it from a human design level, really is for people who have a sacral authority. Your sacral authority, if you're a sacral authority, that means like your sacral is defined first and foremost. So really only like generators and manifesting generators are going to have this. However, they are the majority of the population, which is probably why that advice has been so popular. But it's really being able to go with that first feeling of like yes or no, right? Like, what is your desire here? If you are a splenic authority, your spleen deals with instinct, it deals with fear. So that's where you would be like, trust your instincts. Trust your instincts and trust your gut are two different things. And when you learn it again from this human design level, it gets so granular, and it's so great because it gives you a starting point in how to actually experiment with living in alignment. For me personally, learning that I was an emotional authority and that about half of the population are actually emotional authorities, this is where trusting your feelings comes in, and where it becomes really important to give yourselves time and space to sit with how do you actually feel about something or someone or this next step or this vision, to feel if it's in alignment for you. It's the difference between somebody inviting you impromptu to a party after you like see them for dinner, and they're like, hey, I'm going to this thing, do you want to come with? Or even you like wanting to maybe invite somebody. I've done this before where I was like on a first date, and it was like, it was okay, but I was like just excited about like connecting with somebody. And I was like, oh yeah, like I'm going to this thing later. Do you want to come? And I was like, why did I invite? Like the second I like that came out of my mouth, I was like, why did that just come out of my mouth? Like I don't want to see them again. Maybe, right? Like I don't know, but like that was not the right time to do that anyways. So it was like, oh my gosh, okay, I need to like chill, right? And that is such a clear like sign of emotional authority, being like not following your emotional authority, like not giving yourself the time and space to actually feel out how do you feel about something, and then moving forward with whatever the majority is. The great thing about emotional authority, like when you learn that, is that you start to understand like one of the most important pieces of it is being able to be comfortable with making decisions at about 80% certainty. Because when you are an emotional authority, your emotions are like waves. And it is going to be very challenging to constantly be waiting for 100% clarity, because your feelings are going to shift every day. And part of the gift of having an emotional authority and being in tune with your emotions is that you can feel both sides of the story, right? It's not even just being able to see like both sides of the story, or like the pros and the cons, or like if you do this and you go down this path versus this path, how you might feel or what it might look like, but it's like you can see how you might feel in it. And you're still guessing, right? Which is why you have to get comfortable with the 80% certainty, because it's still a guess at the end of the day. Like you don't know the full picture. Nobody does except for the freaking universe. So by learning about this, hopefully that gives you some permission to be like more courageous in your decision making, be a little more bold, be a little bit more audacious, be a little more trusting to how you actually feel about someone or something, because that's going to guide you into your next step. So really like this divine inspiration, I think, is a calling card of, hey, go and look at what your intuition might be trying to tell you and bring you. If you're trying to decide like what person you're trying to be with, or if you should be pursuing yourself, how that looks, any hobbies, if you're trying to decide what's next in your business, in your career, really sit still, close your eyes, go within, as cliche as that might sound, and let your intuition speak through you. Okay, we also have Cancer that comes through. And Cancer, the sign of Cancer is a water sign. It is, I believe, I want to say it's a fixed sign, or it is the one that starts the cardinal sign. So don't quote me on this, but with the Cancerian energy, this is mother energy. Okay, Cancer is the mother of the archetypes of the zodiac, Capricorn being the father. And with Cancer energy, this is like love, nurturing, rest, relaxation. This is like give yourself that that motherly love of like, are you doing okay? Have you eaten today? Have you drank water? Like, give yourself that space to be in that nurturing energy, whether it's for yourself, for other people, having other people do that for you. That's where you really need to check in on yourself of like where you're at and what you're needing. But this Cancerian energy, I think, makes sense with the Page of Cups especially, where if you're wanting to embody this like new kind of love, you almost need to go back to the root and heal that. Like if you have any mother wounds that need to be healed, it's a great time to like do that. And again, keep in mind the idea of healing versus living, and that there's no amount of healing that's going to help you like escape the human experience, because where this comes through is healing the mother wound is going to look like forgiveness. It's going to look like maybe reconnecting with your mom or your maternal figures in your life. It might look like you being able to own that now you can be your own mother, right? That you're an adult. It's time for you to step into this maturity of owning your own responsibility to manage your emotions, to provide for yourself emotionally, to be able to make decisions and feel cared for and give yourself that love and tender love and care. And so keep in mind like that healing energy into the living energy is really living in alignment with oh, I get to be loving towards myself. I get to give myself a break when I need a break. I can check in with myself on what do I need? What do I want to eat? You know, I don't need to have somebody else fulfill these emotional needs that make me feel seen and safe and secure and loved at something that's my job to do. And when you're able to do that, again, like this is what's giving rise to this divine inspiration. This is what's giving rise to balance, because maybe you're in your masculine a lot. Maybe you're always working. Maybe you're an entrepreneur. Maybe you're just like, you know, feeling all this pressure, whether it's real or just self created pressure. And it's time to like take that pressure off and balance it with, yes, pressure in a way is like a privilege to be able to feel like, you know, you have a purpose, to feel like somebody is counting on you, to feel like you need to provide, to feel like that you have this creative gift that wants to like get into this world. Like it is a privilege to feel that type of pressure. And at the same, and also like to survive, like let's be honest, because trust me, like I remember when I was like deeply depressed and suicidal, that pressure to survive was so like low. I was like, I am okay. I'm okay with not being in this world. So even the pressure to just survive like is a gift in a way. It's just also time to balance it, right? Give equal airtime to a Pentacles energy with your material world. Like set up your structure, set up your habits, pay people to help you manage your life, whether that's, you know, hiring somebody to do your laundry or getting meal prep services. It's not necessarily like giving yourself like structure for balance, but it's use your environment, use your resources, use the physical reality that you have, the people in your life, to help you create balance. Because that is honestly like what is very needed and potentially have been neglected. All right, let's pull one final card because that feels pretty complete to me, but let's just see what else we have. Stability and direction. Okay, so this goes like hand in hand with the Cancer energy. So we also have 44 here because Cancer was the number 4, and then the stability and direction is also number 4. So with the 44, like that angel number really reiterating, like magnifying the stability and direction aspect of it. When you think about stability and direction, this is like, where are you going? And do you have the foundation that's needed to get there? Right? Are you standing on solid ground? Where are you starting? Like, truly take a look at what is your starting point and then find the direction from there. And the direction is not like, you know, look 5,000 steps ahead, because that's like trying to walk forward with your eyes up in the sky, right? Like the stability and direction here that's being called of you is really to look like kind of just like right in front of you, like towards the ground. Like what is that next like stepping rock? The way that I see it visually is like when there's, I don't know, like in like a river or something, the little rocks that you can use to like get to the other side. It's more so like you're not going to be able to get to the other side by just like staring at the other side and like visualizing your way there and being like, yes, I'm going to get there. It's like, oh no, like you either have to build a bridge to get there or like look around you and look at the elements and be like, oh, there's this stepping stone, there's this stepping stone. And if I you know, just keep following the next stepping stone and like glance up every now and then, right, I'm going to be okay. So that's more so the energy of that. And that I think is really like the culmination of, after you do all of this, right? You're finding the balance in your physical life, in your physical reality, you opening yourself up to this new love and really embodying that, like kind of rejuvenating that like hope and love energy, and then having the divine inspiration of like, okay, like this is what I think is up next, giving yourself that love so that you know that you're not going to burn out, you're not going to be overgiving yourself, people pleasing, you know, you're going to have that strong foundation for yourself. And now, okay, you're ready to like, you have that stability, you have that foundation. Now it's time to pick a direction and move forward. I love that also as a finisher for 2024 coming into 2025. So that is your energy reading for the week, for the month. I don't know, we'll see. Again, I just felt called to do a reading today. I was like, life feels heavy. What is going on in this world? So I hope that this helped you as much as it's helped me. Just giving you these insights. If listening to this helps you awaken this part of you that is like, yes, I definitely want some more stability and direction in my life, then I highly recommend booking a reading with me down in the description box below. I'm doing these one-off sessions in which you're going to be able to see an energy audit of what's going on underneath the surface. You'll be looking at any patterns that you have, what you need to know right now, where your soul is guiding you towards, if you're blocked in any way, and how to lift those blocks so that you can live in alignment with your soul. This is also the perfect time to book a reading right before 2025 so that you have everything you need to know and you can already start working on reclaiming your energy, refocusing it, so that when 2025 hits, you can go off sprinting. And if that's not your thing, you can totally walk into 2025. I am a big proponent for walking instead of sprinting. Until next time, friends, stay well and listen to your soul whispers.